Hi everyone, it's Guillaume from Startup Basecamp. Welcome to the Tech for Climate podcast. During the show, you will have the opportunity to meet the best climate tech founders, investors, and experts from both Silicon Valley and around the globe. They will share with you their stories and personal journeys into this growing and exciting industry, giving you some insight into the ecosystems that help you to take part in the fight against climate change and benefit from the opportunities it can represent. The podcast is divided in two small interviews. During the first part, you will get to know our speakers, their perspectives on the climate crisis and how climate tech is changing the game. The second part of the discussion will be for members of our community who will learn the speakers' secret sauce on how to and share with you their unique expertise on topics such as fundraising, management, strategy, and so on, to help you to become a better leader in your field. So before we start, I would like to quickly share what we are doing at Startup Basecamp to support climate tech founders in accessing resources and gaining visibility with investors they seek. Our initiatives include a membership-based community platform offering access to a dedicated Slack group with a growing number of founders, experts, and investors from around the world, and a series of exclusive content such as interviews, weekly job listings, events, and our quarterly online pitch of night opportunity. But more than a place where you can learn, exchange, and grow, we are building a matchmaking service to facilitate connections between our members and top investors and experts in the field. And soon, alongside with other top investors, we will be launching a small fund to co-invest in the growth and acceleration of our members. Finally, all of this is possible because of your support and donations. We are a small self-funded team, and we want you to be part of this collective movement against climate change. So please share one episode with a friend and subscribe to the channels. As an added bonus, we will plant a tree for each of our subscribers each time we reach 1,000 new fans or donors. Do not hesitate to connect with me via social media or email guillaume@startupbasecamp. Thanks a lot for listening. I hope to get in touch with you soon. And now, let's go for the show. Hi everyone, in today's episode we are speaking with Danijel Višević, founding partner at World Fund. World Fund is a European climate tech VC investing in startups from seed to Series B that have the potential to save at least 100 megatons of CO2 equivalent per year. Their focus areas are key emitting sectors such as energy, food and agriculture, manufacturing, buildings and transport. Through these focus areas, they aim to fill two significant investment gaps in climate tech, when it goes from the lab to the market and when it leaves the pilot stage to scale. I was excited to have Danijel on the show, a unique person driven by the love of life who has an unusual career path that led him to co-found a 350 million climate tech fund. Danijel worked as a journalist and a communication expert in politics for the German Chancellor Angela Merkel before investing in and supporting early-stage climate tech founders through the World Fund. In this episode, Danijel will share his view of the European climate tech ecosystem, the gap between R&D and funding, and the challenges and opportunities that lie in Europe for accelerating capital deployment and directly impacting climate change. Then, he will cover in detail how they select and support founders and how they measure the impact that they base their investment decision on. Together, we will go on to highlight underdog areas in the climate tech ecosystem in which he sees exciting potential for investments, growth and impact. Following that, Danijel will share his view on the climate crisis today and how you can be involved in the growing climate tech movement and the World Fund. In the second part of the show, Danijel will give his secret sauce for founders looking to fundraise and avoid red flags to pitch investors successfully. Lastly, Danijel will cover how he tackles challenges to maintain a healthy work-life balance and share a few inspiring authors for climate tech founders. Danijel, welcome to the show. Hi Danijel, welcome to the Tech for Climate podcast. I'm super happy to have you here with us today. I believe it's going to be a great opportunity to hear about your story and learn more about what you guys are up to with World Fund. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So before we start, could you please give us a 30-second introduction about World Fund?
Yes. So World Fund is looking for climate tech startups, mainly in Europe, that have the potential to save at least 100 megatons of CO2 or equivalent emissions per year. So it's climate tech, what's mainly in two sectors, energy and food, agricultural land use is the second sector. So why we are focusing on Europe is because we have a huge investment gap here. We have the best talents, best teams, best tech, most companies, but no funding. And this is crucial to not only save humankind, but also to use this investment opportunity wisely. And yes, here we are.
Fantastic. So before we go too far into all of those details that we'll cover later in the interview, let's start from the top. Can you tell us a bit more about your personal story and background? What are you passionate about? What do you do besides working on supporting investing in founders? I mean, what makes you feel inspired or like your best self? Who is Daniel?
Ah, cool question to start with. So I think as for an investor, I have quite an unusual path that I went to here. So I'm passionate about purpose. Of course, purpose is a huge word, but I learned that I'm happy and able to really go 100% when I see purpose in what I do, and if I don't, I'm dead. So I only can do things that I believe in 100%, not less. And yeah, I'm just driven. I'm a person who's driven by maybe it sounds a bit esoteric, but I'm driven by the love of life. We have a fantastic planet. We have a brilliant humankind. We have so beautiful life on Earth, and I believe, I really believe that nearly every single human is brilliant and fantastic, and we should save our lives and prevent, yeah, and that's why I'm in a climate crisis. I mean, it's a huge threat, and I think climate tech is a huge part of the solution.
Is that something that you see in your daily life, in the activities that you do on the side, or hobbies that you have?
Absolutely. I mean, so I spent nearly all of my time for the World Fund. Besides that, I have friends and family, and I'm surrounded by people who inspire me. So I make hard choices in whom I'm together with. I surround myself with people who are positive, optimistic, who are energized, and who also love humankind. And we have so many people of that. So I would say this is like my main filter if somebody is positive, optimistic, and really wants to reach something in life. Those people usually are inspiring, and those people make me happy.
Thank you for sharing all of that. So let's go back to the professional aspect of you. Can you tell us a bit about your different work and life experience prior to the World Fund? I mean, I see that you've been a journalist, communication expert in politics, worked with EcoShare investing in climate tech. So not, I would say, like the traditional route to become a founding partner in a large VC fund. What did you learn during that journey that gave you an edge to start a firm?
Yes. So everything led to the year 2018-19, where I was thinking about either I use the power I have, the power I have to tackle the climate crisis as what I've learned as journalist, storytelling, powerful, you can inspire people, you can move them, or to use the political network I have. Um, I learned about politics a lot while working for 5 years for Angela Merkel. And the third thing is my network of VCs and startups. And I decided to go for a fund because those who really change something are entrepreneurs. Those are the people who have the power, who are, as I described the people before, those are entrepreneurs. Those founders change things. So, yeah, let me give you a bit of a background why in 2018-19 that was really crucial moments for me to decide to build the World Fund together with strong partners. So, as mentioned already, I worked as journalist for the most time of my life, and it's brilliant. Focusing on venture capital and startups, I was always sucked in by this energized people who really want to change something. Then between 2012 and 17, I had the opportunity to work for Angela Merkel, being co-responsible for her audiovisual appearance, and was reporting directly to the government spokesman. Learned a lot, seen a lot. But everything I also learned during this time is that it needs so much time. Journalism is only indirect. You're not acting, you're only describing how others act. Politics, Angela Merkel she understood the climate crisis better than I don't know who else on earth. And still, the politics that came out, for me personally, and I'm a big fan of her, it is disappointing, especially when you know that she's someone who really got it as a physicist also. And but then the most promising things I've seen is entrepreneurs building stuff. I want to mention Tesla. Of course, this is like a lighthouse, but you know how many decades we have tried to electrify transport and the car industry. Didn't happen because politics didn't make it, storytelling didn't make it, but a company like this disrupts.
So, and you mentioned that 2018, your previous experience, but do you recall any, aha moment that you can consider as your driver to jump into the climate tech industry per se?
To be honest, Greta Thunberg, this young woman, and all the young people on the streets in 2018. I mean, I'm member of the Green Party since 2001. What, by the way, government spokesman and the chancellor knew, and it speaks for them that was totally fine for them. And I have a green heart. I'm aware of the climate crisis, but I didn't know how severe it is until young people started to go on the street. And they have a reason to do that, because what we are doing with this planet is horrible, and it's not the planet. Planet will survive another around 4 or 5 billion years, but we, yeah. So that's the moment. It was deep research I've done for, to be honest, one day that I understood what a dimension this crisis has. And then I had very bad days, very bad nights, didn't sleep because I understood what's in front of us. And yeah, then I did the decision that I made, and I'm so happy that World Fund worked out and that we already started to invest and support founders who make the change.
So before we go into the detail of World Fund, let's zoom out and take a step back at the European climate tech ecosystem. Can you give us your personal overview of the landscape today in terms of funding, tech, ongoing research, and structure to support the growth of new solutions? I mean, why do we have the need to create a champion? Are we behind compared to the US or the rest of the world? I mean, what are the European advantages and weaknesses to decarbonize the economy?
Mm-hmm. We have many advantages, and we are at the forefront when it comes to climate tech R&D. So only on European Union level, we will spend in a program that's what's called Horizon Europe. We will spend 33.4 billion euros on climate tech R&D until 2027. We have done already with a program that's called Horizon 2020. Since 2014, on European level, 58 billion euros were invested into climate tech R&D. Climate tech R&D. So adding to that, national budgets in France, Germany, Spain, Italy, and all the other 27 European Union countries. Of course, we have to add United Kingdom, also strong in climate tech R&D investments. Hundreds of billions of euros are added on top of that. What results in 28% of all the climate tech patent applications worldwide are European. A third of all the leading research institutes and universities are European. We have the most climate tech startups if you compare it to China and or North America, but we have least funding. So we are number one in everything to prepare to build an ecosystem. What's perfect for the next climate corns, unicorns, for the next most successful companies in climate tech. But then when it comes to funding, in the moment when it's like close to really generate revenue and profit, we say, that's entrepreneurship, risky. And others come. When you look at the funding in Europe, 2/3 in climate tech investments, especially I'm talking about the growth fund rounds. It's not European VC capital.
So, but I will double click on that part. I mean, according to you, and your fund is fairly large for the European level. I think it's around like 300 million or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Aiming for 350. We're still in fundraising, so
350. So if you pile up, I was speaking with Christian Hernandez from 2150, also a fund around like 200 and something millions. I mean, you have the fund of Pale Blue Dot, you have like different funds, and if you pile them up all together, do we have enough funding for those startups that you mentioned, that coming out of the labs, and so much R&D that is and amount of money is invested in there? So how do you see like the cursor? I know, are we like behind? Do we need more fund like yours, or we should just start to invest now and see what's next?
We have to start to invest as soon as possible, and we are behind. We need 100 World Funds. We need 100 Pale Blue Dots, 100 2150 climate tech funds. So the World Fund, those 350 million euros, a bit more than half of it is already committed, and we started to invest, is only, as we say in Germany, a drop of water on a hot stone. Only in Germany, we have a gap per year of 22.7 billion euros for climate tech companies that's needed on venture capital. It's a study conducted by the German Energy Agency, what's part of the German Ministry for Economy and Climate. In December, they conducted this study. So per year, only in Germany, climate tech startups need venture capital of 22.7 billion euros. So yes, we are behind, and we need to act fast. One more number. In October, we launched our fund. So after we knew we are really on the road and we have more than half of the capital committed, we felt confident enough to go public. And we received more than 1,100 applications since then. We are rejecting or redirecting brilliant founders just out of opportunity reasons. So, and it's the hardest thing you can do in life when you see a founder and you know she or he has a great team, great vision, technology has proven to work, and you're out of opportunity cost. Must say, sorry, we only can invest with the fund in 40 companies, and we have to reject all the best.
So according to you, and that's very interesting, because with Startup Basecamp, our main mission is really to accelerate capital deployment towards those climate tech startups. So what is missing in the ecosystem right now? What is it, like policies? Is it like lack of support? I'm speaking about the European level. Like, how can we accelerate this capital deployment?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, what's missing is new regulations, a carbon price. But what I have learned is, don't wait for politics, just act. So as I said, what's changing the world is companies like Tesla. It's not subsidies or whatever. So what we need, besides this, of course, but this is wishful thinking, and we hope that politics will, when we act, also follow. But what we need is three things in the venture capital in Europe. We need bigger funds. We need patient capital, and we need smart capital. When I talk about bigger funds, those climate tech companies usually need more capital. It's hardware components included, and so then we need also a longer time and more patient capital, because as we have seen, there was already an investment era, clean tech 1.0, between 2006 and 2011. The companies funds invested then only now are worth more than 1,000 billion euros. So it needed really a lot of time to become successful. And the third thing is, our funds in Europe lack smart investment teams who understand also the tech. We have brilliant people who understand the business, but what we lack is that those teams are also consisting of chemical engineers, mechanical engineers, mathematicians, physicists, nuclear physicists, chemists, biologists. We need capital to be smarter than it is today. That's one thing I learned. Traditional VCs in Europe hesitate to invest into climate tech because we don't understand it. It's deep tech. E-commerce is easier to understand. Let's go.
For sure. So before closing this European chapter, you guys have a deep view about the different countries, ecosystems. So which are, according to you, like the countries that you see the most innovation coming out of? Why are those ones, and what makes them special that maybe others don't have?
Yeah, we see a lot in Germany, and we are based in Berlin, Munich, Cologne, and in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. We see brilliant universities and institutions in Switzerland, in France, in the UK. I don't know how to answer this question now because we have brilliance everywhere, from Porto to Kiev. I don't know, from Oslo to Athens. Maybe you can specify your question more specific, and I'll give you maybe a better answer.
Yeah, the idea was just to get a better sense of do you see any trends in terms of countries? I mean, you're based in Germany, and clearly Germany is ranking one of the top, I would say, in terms of the climate tech ecosystem innovation coming out. The idea was to understand a little bit on your side what are the most pipeline or deal flow do you see? Which country is the one producing the most innovation right now?
Yeah.
And if they're all equal, that's fantastic. But I'm sure there is some trends that you are starting to see emerging right now.
Yes. We, of course, because we're in Germany, we have strong deal flow from Germany. It's where we are. We are among the first, for sure, to get the best deals on the table. But also from other countries. I'm very impressed by startups from the UK. I'm surprised by the number of what's coming from there. They seem to really have a fantastic, no surprise, fantastic universities, fantastic entrepreneurial mindset. But then also another surprise maybe, we have a lot from Eastern European countries, from the Baltics, for example, what's coming over. Not to mention the North. So now I consciously didn't mention the Scandinavian countries who really Stockholm is a climate tech hub. Consciously didn't mention Paris, what's set to be among the top 3 climate tech hubs in Europe, among Berlin and London. And you would like to hear the deals, the type of deals?
No, it's more about the trends that you are seeing, but I think you covered that. So thank you so much. So with the goal of in mind to keep the 1.5 Celsius overall temperature increase by 2050, which is, according to you, the proportion between tech versus nature-based solution that needs to be implemented, and why do you believe it's important to push both type of solution or not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the proportion is we need 100% tech and we need 100% nature. It's just, the crisis is huge, is too small as word. It's if you really look at the crisis, the Earth will continue to warm until 2050, no matter what we do. That's the IPCC report saying, and so we only can influence until 2050. To which degree? 1.5 degrees would be fantastic if we only warm to 1.5, and I hope we'll achieve it. We're not on the path to it. So we need every solution. I'm fond of nature-based solutions. I would love to see us as soon as possible to turn to regenerative farming. That's not a tech solution, but tech can help to incentivize farmers to get to regenerative farming. Regenerative farming is basically you don't pluck, you don't use fertilizers or less or different, because by nature, soil saves carbon. And the way we do agriculture today is basically we make soil not save carbon, unleash it to the atmosphere, and that's a major driver of global warming. So here, tech and nature come together. And here also what comes in is the negative role of politics, because subsidies, especially in Europe, to maintain this kind of deathful agriculture, it's politics that is subsidizing and incentivizing into the totally wrong direction. On a side note, and then we of course have purely tech. Let me talk about batteries, about how we produce energy, wind, solar, how we save it, how we transport it. Yeah, that's we have to invest in everything.
So let's go into the specifics of the World Fund. Can you tell us a bit more about like the story, the genesis of it? With who did you co-founded the fund, and what was the initial gap you saw that led the thesis behind the World Fund?
The gap is this climate tech gap. So there's a lot of literature that has been written during the last 10 years. And we have a book that's called Project Drawdown, basically more than 100 scientists doing research. What do we have to invest in to reverse global warming? Project Drawdown came out as a book in 2017, was a huge inspiration for us, for all of us. When I speak about us, it's 4 founders. It's Tim Schumacher, whom I met 25 years ago when we started to study in Cologne. And I worked a lot with Tim together, so there's a very strong relationship. Christian Kroll is the founder of Ecosia. Oh, you see, I have to say it's 5 partners. Christian Kroll is not a partner of us, but he is very important for kicking things off. Christian Kroll is the founder of Ecosia. They planted nearly 150 million trees, very profitable. Ecosia, thanks to Christian, is our anchor investor. So already 2 years ago, they said, okay, you can have 10 million from us. So this was helping us a lot for fundraising when you have upfront an anchor investor like that. Third is Daria Saharova from Munich. In 2020, she was awarded Best Female Investor from the German Startup Awards, as Tim was, by the way, 2020 awarded as Best Male Investor. And the 4th partner I'm talking about is Craig Douglas, who also built Set Ventures, an energy and climate tech investor from Amsterdam. And he joined our team early. So that, we are 4 co-founders who are driven by this gap described basically in Project Drawdown's book.
So when you decide to invest in founders, and also that you guys, and we'll cover that a little bit after, started to deploy capital. I mean, what do you offer to those founders that you invest in? What are the challenges that you see that they are specific to them that you guys try to, I would say, fulfill the gap in between and support not only with capital, but what else do you offer? Why should founders come to you?
Yeah. So first of all, what's really very important to us is that they save or have the potential to save at least 100 megatons CO2 emissions or equivalents per year. So that's a major filter, because you have a lot of climate tech that is not this powerful. And what we have to do to reverse global warming is to decarbonize, period. And as a tech that is powerful in decarbonizing is the tech we want to invest in. Also because of the ratio we have, we believe that every company that will help us to decarbonize will be the most valuable in the next decade. So those climate returns, as we call it, are early indicators for superior financial returns. So why should a founder come to us? She should come to us because she has a team that consists of very different people. So I have a political background and strong ties here. Regulations matter. So besides that, communications professional and especially deep tech founders, they sometimes struggle with storytelling. Sometimes I say they're too smart to keep things simple. I'm here to translate. Tim Schumacher has built dozens of companies. He will help with company building. Daria Saharova, the same. We all have a huge network to other investors and potential customers. Also, the brand is very relevant. So we are built by purpose-driven people, and the best founders are purpose-driven. They recognize immediately, are you in for only the financial return, also for the climate return? So we, for example, also have the founders of Scientists for Future among our advisors. And last but not least, we are a big fund. Climate tech needs a lot of money. That's one of the reasons why we started this biggest climate tech VC in Europe, because climate tech needs more than $1 million or $2 million. You need follow-on rounds. So we have initial ticket sizes of 1 to 8 million, and we can invest up to 30 million per company and go to more rounds. And we invest with traditional superior VCs, and that's also very relevant for signaling that you really have investors besides the World Fund, that as the World Fund signal, you have connection to the best follow-on LPs then who will continue to support you financially and operationally.
So can you give us some examples of the previous investment that you guys started to do? What makes them special? If you have one or two example of a team, no need to specify any names if you don't want, but what making them special? Was it the market, the team, the tech, and how do you source those founders team? I mean, who should come to pitch you?
Yeah, so we sourced them mainly through network, but also through our visibility on LinkedIn. Sometimes, for example, the first investment we have done, I was introduced to through LinkedIn, through a group of people, Juicy Marbles. I'll tell you a bit more about them. But of course, it's a network. When you know how VC works, you get the deals usually. It's in Europe maybe a group of 1,000 people, where you really know, okay, they're giving the deals to one another, and we are among of them. But then, of course, it's if you then are the one who can really source things, if you have strong ties to universities and programs in place, as we have, if you have strong ties to Scientists for Future, who generate deal flow, not actively, but we get deals that others don't get through also our strong connections to Max Planck Institute, Fraunhofer Institute, the universities I mentioned like RWTH or KIT in Karlsruhe or TU Berlin, and I can name many more. Then of course you also give value to this round of 1,000 investors. But back to Juicy Marbles, because you said what we are looking for. We're always looking for a product that, even if the carbon price is zero, as said, don't wait for politics, even then they will be superior. And Juicy Marbles has produced a filet mignon, a steak that just now hit the markets. It's a Y Combinator company. They're based in Slovenia, and their steak is not only delicious, has the texture of meat, and looks like meat. It also is healthier. Has price the same price level as animal made animal filet mignon, and so this is a superior product, and so we look for products that hit the market earlier than the competition. The special thing is we have a lot of plant-based meat out there already, but Juicy Marbles has the best whole cut meat. Just order it, taste it, you'll see it's filet.
Would love to have them in the show. We did on the fish side recently with Umami Meat, a very interesting company. So definitely we should connect with them. So which sectors are the most promising for you today in terms of like what I called ICR, impact cash return. I mean, meaning building company with high impact and sometimes creating high profitable business. Do you see any underdogs or subsectors area that you're excited about in the climate tech landscape as of today?
I could name many, but maybe I'll mention something very unusual, what's maybe not considered as climate tech. We are deep diving now into quantum computing because I'm not sure. Maybe it's too early to say. Maybe we'll conclude no, that's not climate tech, but our early indications, and we are deep diving already for months here. Our indications are that this could really leap so many segments. It could give us leaps in terms of developing new batteries with a new and higher density, so that all the goals we have, what batteries could achieve until the end of this decade, could be just like when we have quantum computing, we'll achieve much more. Materials that you need for many things, fuels. I mean, this is something I'm pretty excited right now about. Maybe not the sector you expected now me to mention. Yeah. And it's not the sector, it's basically it's influencing everything.
I think it's interesting because like I was speaking with Christian, and he was mentioning him. It was like heating, cooling. That was like something that was really interesting to him right now. So everyone is kind of like this deep dive, and it's always interesting to get that. Any other sectors that you see that you have been seeing right now that excite you?
Yes, definitely. So what we look at is always what's emitting like crazy, so that we can have the strongest lever, believing that if you can save as many emissions as possible, you'll be as highly probable as possible the most valuable company of the next decade. So this for I mentioned already the regenerative agriculture sector, but difficult to find a business model. Of course, industrial heating, for example, is something where emissions are taking place. We're looking at some companies that can get to industrial relevant heat far above 1,000 degrees of Celsius in a climate neutral way to replace how we heat in industry today. Hmm. Hmm. I'm hesitating to mention long-term stories because that's already like, yeah, valuations went irrational high. Batteries, of course, we always love when it goes a layer deeper, when it's not about improving something, but reinventing basically new components, compositions of what's already in place.
So
Deep tech.
out of all of those sectors that you see, all of those pitch companies coming to pitch you that you hear, to your opinion, which are the solution that you believe makes zero sense whatsoever and sounds like to be a waste of time and resource, or maybe greenwashing even? If you have any example that you recently heard and you say like, no.
hmm Um, huh. I don't want to speak too bad, but I think that micromobility needs definitely to develop more or develop in another direction as it does today. So all the promises that we heard basically are zero or even negative. So recently I studied from the ETH in Zurich, Technical University of Zurich in Switzerland, conducted a very good study to show, and that was quite disappointing, that micromobility as it is realized today is adding emissions. So I'm also very sad to hear that like a third of the climate tech investments in Europe are in this space. So basically, when we hear, yeah, we doubled climate tech investments, it's already 11 billion that have been invested into climate tech last year. Cut a third away. I'm sorry, that's not climate tech. Yeah, that's something we are not looking at right now.
So you mentioned the 100 megaton of CO2 equivalent emission per year that you're seeking for. But how do you measure this amount, this impact? Do you have any specific like process or framework? Do you rely on scientists and experts to validate that tech? I mean, this criteria of like CO2 equivalent, maybe social impact as well.
Yes, we so the ratio behind is, and to be honest, when we started to talk about the World Fund, I was very fond of like, let's build an impact fund. I'm really the kind of impact dude, but my team is out of the financial sector and they're very financially driven, and I love it. We're very complementary altogether. And Tim said, you know what, Daniel, when we invest only in climate tech, only in climate impact, everything else will positively be affected too, and that's true. Because when climate crisis accelerates, everything goes down. So we have to reverse global warming and we'll solve so many problems. Of course, in every investment we do, we check, does it do any harm? But our main criteria is to reduce emissions and biodiversity. That's something very relevant to add, and that's also part of the do no harm. It's also something that is represented when checking where to invest, but that's another theme we can fill a full podcast, biodiversity. So yeah, how we do it. We have a mathematician within our team already for 2 years, Danijel Višević, who has developed the CPP assessment, Climate Performance Potential Assessment. He uses tools that are already out there, combines it, and through this methodology, it's top-down and bottom-up approaches, we can estimate, is this technology able to save at least 100 megatons per year? Then we let it review by Chad Frischman, who is one of the brains of Project Drawdown, and by Vanessa Bach, who is working for the Technical University in Berlin, so that we have reviewed it. And we also rely a lot when doing this on peer-reviewed scientific papers. So Daniel is in the lead here, our mathematician, and the CPP assessment is also something our startups profit very much from, because Daniel can also show our startups how they can even have a higher potential.
Any plan to measure along the way as well, if like what has been like promised is sticking to the roadmap, or is it something that you will see in the future?
Measuring along the way?
Yeah.
We have to measure along the way, because from year to year situation is different in terms of the CPP, the climate performance potential. So tech develops, thankfully, world is changing. So per se, all the calculations we do this year will be wrong next year, and that's good. This for you, it's yeah, you have to have this in mind when doing these assessments. And was there another part of this question? Measuring along the way?
No, it was just to understand, like, sometimes, people base their framework at time A and then decide to invest. And after that, it's always important, I believe, to be able to follow on and make sure that what was promised at first makes sense, and that we should keep maybe investing in the next round, or maybe de-invest. And that's, funds decide on themselves what they want to do on that side.
No. We make parts of our carry dependent on the climate return. So we follow, we measure, we have yearly reports on not only ESG criteria, but also on the CPP criteria. And if we don't achieve the goals we define, parts of the carry will be invested in a way that we can fill the gap of not avoided emissions, what our goal was with that investment.
So, personal question. What's your view on the climate crisis? As I always ask, are we doomed? What would you say to people who feel certainly demoralized by all the terrible news and already visible consequences of climate change?
Mm-hmm. We are definitely not doomed. And if we would have people who are able to travel by time from 100 years ago to today, they will tell us all your sleepless nights not necessary. We are not doomed because humankind is brilliant. I believe very much in that we will reverse global warming before it gets so severe that the worst consequences appear. So what we have to have in mind is until 2050 it will be warming. We will have, in terms of climate and our children, worse times than our generation so far had and the previous. But we will make those generations after proud of ourselves. They will say, okay, they could have acted faster, but what they've done is brilliant. We're not doomed.
Thank you. So what's next for the World Fund? How can the community of investors, founders, experts listening to the show today can help you?
Of course, still fundraising, but we are not allowed to talk about that publicly too much. So what you can do, follow us on LinkedIn, on Twitter. If you are a founder who has a startup that can save, has the potential, apply. We have a webpage on our webpage. It's worldfund.vc/4-startups. And just stay confident and believe in what we are able to do, because humankind has shown so many times that the bigger the crisis, the more brilliant we are.
Thank you so much. So to conclude this first part of the interview, any question I should have asked I did not?
No, I think I've said everything I wanted to say. Main message was maybe the latter, but not only be an optimist, but also act and dedicate your life for fighting the climate crisis, for yourselves, for our children, and all the life on the wonderful planet.
Thank you so much, Danijel, for your time and incredible insights on the European ecosystem. I'm so excited to see so many, brilliant people like you putting so much effort to move the ball towards a better and cleaner world. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Hi, it's Guillaume again. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. As I said, do not hesitate to share an episode with a friend. Also, if you value the work we do for the climate tech ecosystem, here is how you can contribute to it. Today, I'm asking for your support and a donation or sponsorship to make the work of our self-funded team more viable. Even a small contribution means a lot to us. In any case, I will invite you to subscribe to our channels and visit our website startupbasecamp.org to discover more episodes like this one. And get your membership to access all our members' exclusive content. So remember, all of this is possible because of your support and donation. And we want you to be part of this collective movement against climate change. Let's keep in touch, and I hope you will enjoy our next show with us.